Hello everyone and welcome to your NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday the 16th of December 2024. You know what? I'm actually sounding a lot more authoritative than I intended to sound this morning. Like everyone else, I am obviously bitterly disappointed with what happened. It's not what we wanted. It's not what we deserved, I don't think. Over the two games I'm actually talking about in this last week, but the fact remains, unfortunately, that we had a draw when a win wouldn't have been completely unmerited, and then a defeat when, I'll get to this as we move forward, it was not warranted or merited at all. We contributed to our own downfall. We got some very, very poor decisions against us, and we made some very poor decisions in critical moments as well. And I was just saying to folks after yesterday's game specifically that I understand, I genuinely do understand and appreciate the success doesn't come overnight, but since 55, which is a distant memory right now, to be dead honest, it's just been a stumble fest at the club, hasn't it? You know, in the boardroom and on the pitch. And even although we are making progress, we're definitely making progress, certainly over the last 6 weeks or so, it just isn't coming quick enough. And I think that's me really speaking from being a genuine Rangers fan and enjoying the types and styles of successes that we did in the past. And I know that it sounds greedy, but that's just how I feel. And I go back to an interview that we saw with Steven Gerrard in the stands at Ibrox after we beat St Mirren, which effectively clinched 55. I know that we still needed to get that extra point, which Dundee United handed us the next again day, but he basically said, we've got lots of work to do. This is a really good foundation. We've got building to do from here on in. And then you think back to what John Bennett had said before that, saying the only two numbers that matter is 55 and 150 for our anniversary. At that time, it was, I wish we paid a bit more attention at that time to say, wait a minute, John, what do you mean by that? Because if you think that we're just going to plateau at 55 and then a manager or a character of the calibre of Steven Gerrard is going to be happy just sitting there and maybe kind of just to and froing with titles swapped across the city for the next couple of years, you're kind of sadly mistaken. It doesn't matter what's happened to him in his career since he left us, but it's just not good enough. But today, specifically today, in terms of the poignancy of the 16th of December, of course we wanted to have the League Cup in the trophy cabinet today, but we have the new chairman and the new CEO starting today. I'll talk about the chairman in just a wee bit here. This hopefully is going to be heralding a new series or period of success for the club, some stability, some actual strategic direction that moves us in the direction that we want. And hopefully, I don't know much about the chairman for sure, hopefully these guys are winners, because it's not enough to be an administrator, it's not enough to be good with numbers, it's not enough to understand how a business can work. You need to be at your absolute core and to the core being of you, or the fabric of yourself. I know I'm not particularly articulating myself too well here, but you need to be a winner. You need to win at all costs, at all fair costs. I say I don't want to cheat or anything like that, or do anything like the mob from the East End are more than happy and capable of doing. But we need someone who wants to win at absolutely everything that they do, whether it be, securing that investment, securing that sponsorship, securing that partnership, getting that particular player, making sure there's a fair and equal playing field, and every single thing that goes on, it has to be about winning. It has to be about winning and not winning on the, we've got this revenue, that revenue. I know that's all very important. I'm speaking more of a football focus for right now, but we need someone who understands what it takes to be winning. And we haven't had that at the club for such a long time, and that's been a bit of a downer. Now, however, for context, we were a glove away, maybe a foot on the line away from the first trophy of the season this season, and we are, I think, if I believe what was written on the NARSA chat yesterday, we are a point away from securing European football beyond January 2025, and that's all after the debacle that was basically us flopping towards the end of last season. A fairly mute or garbage close season, the Ibrox situation that had us playing at Hampden, the chairman situation, the CEO situation, I should probably have put them in a different order now that I say it out loud, and of course the chief commercial officer situation that just unfolded at the end of last year. I think it's absolutely pretty, that doesn't make sense, but absolutely incredible that we're even at the stage of competitions that we're at based on that, what would you say, fundamental collapse of everything that should be right with a football club. And I don't know, I was actually just talking to a pal before I started recording today, and I don't know that any other club in the world would be able to sustain that. And by the way, we are talking here the last 6 months. I'm not talking about this happened over the last 6 years. The last 6 months, all the things that I mentioned there happened. So as I say, we're heralding a new day on the 16th of December 2024 with two of these guys coming in, and they have a big job to do, and probably Patrick Stewart more than our new chairman. But as I say, I'll get to that in a wee bit here. Game segment, first game of course, Thursday's brilliant 1-1 draw at home to Spurs. The games are just much more enjoyable now, aren't they? You know, I think it's great to show up and be entertained and see the team doing what they're doing. I thought it was a fantastic performance, honestly, and on another night we could have genuinely got all 3 points, and we're doing everything so much better now, and everyone seems to know the roles. They seem to revel in the roles, they seem to enjoy the roles, and when you're in that situation in any line of work, you then perform your role exceptionally better. That's just a fact. That's the way that the human construct works, and we just need to turn all of this optimism and solid play into more goals. And I know that we've been kind of rich on the goals prior to this past week there for the previous month or so, but more goals and victories, and then the rest of it takes care of itself. You know, taking those narrow draws or those narrow defeats as it was yesterday, flipping the script, flipping the switch on that and saying this is now, we're no longer going to put up with this. I mean, many times in the 90s did we get absolutely battered by that mob from the East End, and we'd come away, you know, it was the Andy Gorham heroics show, we'd come away with a 1-0 victory that McCoy trundled over the line in the 84th minute or something like that, and their hearts would be broken, and we would walk away saying that's just what we do, that's what we need to get back, win at all costs. That's back to what I was saying earlier. Positives from the game, the entire performance I thought was solid. It was a wildly entertaining game. James Tavernier, I thought, special mention for him. I thought he was absolutely brilliant the other night, and then it ended up with a bit of a quandary. What does he do for the cup final? You know, we've seen him in very difficult situations against Maeda specifically in the cup final. Does he play him? Does he not? Does he go with Sterling? It's one of those things. I'll get to that in a wee second as well. But I thought James Tavernier was brilliant, and I'm so happy for him to be back to playing his best. This is 2022 Tav, and I've said that to more than one person on the weekend there. Tav's ball, of course, and for the goal, Iggyman's finish. Actually, we're going to call Iggyman Iggy now, because the president of the Rangers Supporters Club of Calgary yesterday announced him as Iggy the first time he was complaining about something yesterday, and Iggy is going to stick. I think it's going to stick for me anyway. And we just really went for it, I thought, and unfortunately we just couldn't finish them off, but it was really, really good, I thought, and Ibrox was absolutely bouncing too, wasn't it? And we've all seen the images of Make Rangers Great Again and the aerial images above the stadium prior to that as well. Just a fabulous night and a great game to be involved in, and a very valuable point, of course, for us as well. In terms of negativities, you know, losing the equaliser was disappointing. The guy just kind of ghosted past us, but I thought it was a really good finish, a very, very intelligent finish to go back across the goal when everyone's expecting it to go that way. I mean, that was kind of unsavable, that one. And unfortunately, this is not a criticism, but Desser's not been able to convert that chance at the death. I thought he did everything right. I thought he did exceptionally well, actually, to even get the chance in the first place. And it's easy to sit afterwards when you see the replay and say, oh, you should have lifted it over him, or you should have just kept it on the deck or whatever. I thought it was a really good save at the time, and it was just one of those things. We could be talking about something completely different now if we'd have went into the cup final on that high of essentially, you know, probably having secured the European football, as I mentioned earlier, beyond January, and then just with that lift of beating a Premiership team and obviously who the manager is and such like that, it just really not putting them to the sword, I think, and that really talks to the stats. In terms of stats, we had 41% possession, which is not unusual when you're playing a team who are going to be dominating the ball. But here's the key for me: we had 10 shots on goal with 6 on target. 10 shots on goal with 6 on target, versus they had 9 shots on goal with 3 on target. So their conversion rate was obviously a third, and ours was a sixth as well. So that just gives you that's we need to be converting more of our chances. I don't know what they call it XG these days, don't they? But I don't know what the XG should be for us to, you know, to turn all these draws into victories or defeats into draws or victories themselves. But I imagine it would be 50%, you know, like an opportunity. If we had 6 on target, we would score 3 goals. But I don't know, maybe it just depends on the calibre of the team that we are playing. In terms of the referee watch for this game, I thought he did okay, as far as I can remember. I don't really recall too much in terms of getting annoyed by him, so he'll get the 7 out of 10. So what does that mean for us? That means that after 6 games, we're in 8th spot, which is the automatic qualification spot for the last 16. And that's with 2 games left. One is away to Man United and the other one's at home to Union Saint-Gilloise or USG. Both of those games are in January. Man United, if you pay any attention to the Premiership, we just popped the game on straight at the end of the game at the penalties yesterday. We actually saw the celebration of the winner and then we saw the replay of the winner. Man United are up and down like a yo-yo. Who knows what they're going to be like come mid-January when we get the chance to play them. But the way that we're playing away from home, specifically in Europe, I don't think we've got anything to fear. We just go down there and do what we've been doing and see how that serves us. But this is a very good position to be in after 6 games, of course. The second game, well, I'll get through this as quickly as I can, folks, I promise, but was yesterday's League Cup final defeat against that mob at Hampden. Again, I thought it was a brilliant game. I watched the highlights, and by the way, the highlights are very, what would you say, conspicuous in their absence about some of the things that were left out. Foot on the line penalty call, maybe, for example. But it was a brilliant game. I think for the neutral, for anyone watching this particular game, they would have had a great time watching it, and it's just night and day. It was night and day from the debacle that we had endured, self-imposed really, or self-induced for us at Sharkhead at the beginning of September. That was just an awful day, and we took the lead, which is something that I'd been saying to folks prior to the game, specifically prior to the game, to say it would just be nice to take the lead and see how they act and react. And we had a tremendous chance at the beginning of the second half that culminated in a 4-on-1 for us, and unfortunately we chose wrong and we didn't even get a shot on target there actually, which is a big negative on that. We didn't get the chance to really put them to the sword, unfortunately. Then their 3 goals, I have to say, they get a massive deflection, and then you get a 2 awful goals after that. I thought that their 3 goals were, the first one, it's just unfortunate. It's one of these things that can happen. But Raskin's header back was just awful, and then Raskin was great. I mean, he's been playing absolutely well, but he scored the OG, and he gave them a goal. So you don't get pass marks for that day yesterday, Nico, I'm afraid. But he gives Maeda, who then I thought he did brilliantly to score. I mean, that guy's kind of hit and miss a wee bit at times as well, but his control and then his finish, fair play, whatever. And then they get 2 goals in 3 minutes. And then at that point you're thinking, here comes a capitulation. Is it really? But no, we're not that team anymore. And then Dio equalises, and then we kind of fell asleep again, and they get an easy shot from right in the centre of the area, but nowhere near them, and they think they've won it in, what was that, the 86th, 87th minute, something like that. But then Danilo goes and heads the equaliser. It's just incredible stuff. It was absolutely brilliant. We'd over 30 people at Pinbar yesterday. Pinbar did a great job of opening up for us very early. Leo and I sat on our own for about half an hour with no one coming in, and then eventually the place filled up. But for me, I know I say this every single time I end up talking about a referee, I genuinely don't want to talk about referees. I don't. I'd love to be praising the referees, but the main talking point for me was the penalty that wasn't even looked at for VAR. So you don't get John Beaton. He doesn't get the criticism for this particular part. That's where VAR is. I mean, I'm assuming that Beaton said, is that something I need to look at, or VAR should automatically be doing it anyway, and for whatever reason there was no check, and that's in extra time. That's at 3-3. That's for a penalty kick for us, and Clement talked about it afterwards and made a point of saying, I hope you guys investigate this, and what are the reporters going to do? They're going to do what they're paid to do, which is basically throw petals in front of that team from the East End and make sure they have everything in their path that they need to be a success. But this is where the new chairman and the new CEO the first port of call has to be a call to say no more. No more of that. We've seen more than enough of that over the years, and from this point forward you're going to get it tight every single time there is a mistake. Yes, the apology will come from Willie Collum at some point, I expect, but that's not the point. The point is that was a blatant cheating call by VAR, and I'll say that out loud, and if anybody wants to challenge me on that, by all means please do. My details are always on the NARSA website. The game goes to penalties, and then they squeeze it out after a save from Ridvan, which wasn't a horrible penalty. If the goalie goes the other way, it's tucked in, and there was a few of those penalties. And the shootout kind of kind of Seville 2022-esque, wasn't it? Where they just had 5 immaculate penalties and we had that one miss, and then that's the way that it goes. So unfortunately, we don't get to lift the League Cup trophy, and they get to take it over to their midden. So the positives, I thought we were great. Honestly, I did. I thought we started well, like we typically do in Old Firm games, to be fair, but we just kept it going. There's obviously mistakes that happened in the game, and decision-making mistakes and such, but this to me is a team standing up and being counted right now, and I can't complain with that whatsoever. You could talk about lack of quality, you could talk about the odd decision in game and such, but these guys are fighting hard for the jersey now, and it's so good to see. We plugged away, we took advantage of their mistakes, we actually pressed, we didn't get intimidated, we didn't let our heads go down, especially after those 2 rapid goals, and then that late, what could have been the winner. And we knew that we had what it takes to go toe-to-toe with them. And I think most people that have been paying any attention, I don't watch any of their games at all, but most people that have been paying attention have the mind that they're not as good as they think they are. They're not. And we stuck to the game plan. We had a game plan. We stuck to the game plan, and we almost squeezed it out. Unfortunately, just not quite enough on the day. And the negatives, as I mentioned earlier there, all 3 goals that we lost, I thought were very poor, very disappointing. First one, a fluke. The other 2 were... what's the best? Sleepy, maybe. Sleepy. We were sleepy in that. But other than that, I think we did well. Obviously, the 4-on-1 he chose wrong. We didn't get a shot away on a 4-on-1. A shot on target. That's kind of unforgivable. And Clement did address that in his post-match press conference by saying we will show that to the team, and this will be an opportunity to get better. So there's not much you can do with, or not much more you can do with it after the fact than using that. In terms of the stats, 43% possession, 15 shots on goal with 10 on target. 15 shots on goal with 10 on target, and we got 3. So that's about a third. So that's kind of back to what I was saying earlier there. That's what Tottenham got. In terms of them on the Thursday night, so that's creeping up to the kind of halfway, which is probably better and certainly where we want to be, versus they had 9 shots and 6 on target. So in terms of possession, they had the bulk of possession, but we did more with it. Obviously, that's what the stats are saying. In terms of the referee watch, I thought John Beaton did okay, actually, and I actually complimented him during the game and thought that he was managing it quite well. He wasn't getting too involved. He wasn't didn't look like he was being overly influenced by, I'm guessing that him and McGregor are absolute best pals, because McGregor just wanted to talk to him the whole entire game. They must be very, very fond of each other. But it didn't seem to be that he was falling for that sort of garbage, but he was let down by VAR. So, he should have seen the call at the beginning, but things can happen in the heat of battle, and you maybe just don't see it, or you think you've seen it off the line and you don't know if it's on the line or whatever, but then he should be going to VAR and saying, help me here. What's happened? Is that on the line? Is it off the line? Am I good with this call that I've made? And maybe he did that, and maybe VAR had the green and white tinted glasses on and says, no, that's fine, that's no problem at all. So because of that, he's going to get a 4 out of 10, because he's basically representing the entire referee team. And actually, do you know what? A 4 is generous in that respect. Now that I say that out loud, he's going to get 2 for that, and they all have to do better. That was pathetic. It was disgusting, actually, the decision, and it's just one of those things. And one thing I said to folks, and I'm going to try and be as upbeat as possible as I can this week, is that I said to folks yesterday, especially after the game, if I was in their shoes, their manky, disgusting shoes, let me just leave it at that, I would be nervous. Honestly, I would. I would be, your barometer in Scottish football is how the team at the other side of the city's doing. And if we had spent millions and millions and millions, which they did, and this bunch of ragtags from across the city come and give us the fright of our lives, I would be very, very nervous, saying, wait a minute, have we got another gear here and this was just an off day for us? Or are we actually playing on the same field with these guys and they've spent a fraction of what we've spent? Because that then would put it towards, nervousness about their recruiting policy, nervousness about their management and coaching philosophies and such as well. I think I'm taking all the positives from the last 2 games. Absolutely I am, and I think we're absolutely on the right track. We just need to convert this into victories in these big games, and then that will be the turning point. In terms of next games, we do get a wee bit of a breather this time for the first time, and it feels like a wee while actually. No midweek games for us. The first game is Saturday, the 21st of December, and we're at home to Dundee, so hopefully a good opportunity to have a good run out for the fans to go and celebrate the almost victory there, support the team as best as we can, and get some goals, and hopefully claw some more goals and points back on Aberdeen. I have no idea who they're playing next weekend, and I mean the message here for this game is just win it. I hope it's not flat. You know, we've got 3, what would you say, kind of uninspiring, less than glamorous games between now and the next Old Firm game, and that's when we have a chance to go at them again. So that should be incentive and motivation for the team to say 3 more games, and then we'll get into these guys again and we'll right the wrongs from the cup final. I know that it's not going to be material in terms of clawing back points that would give us an opportunity to challenge for the title, but you never know. You just never know. So we'll see what that looks like in terms of how we go forward. So in the shout-outs, as I did mention at the top of the show this week, that we get the opportunity to welcome Fraser Thornton as Rangers Football Club's new chairman, and I thought that one came quite quickly. You know, it was one of these things where you're like, I wonder when the chairman's coming in, and they're like, we've got a new chairman, he starts on Monday. So that's great. Congratulations and welcome to Rangers Football Club, Mr. Thornton, and I hope that you have all the success. As I say, I hope this guy's a winner. I'm going to read a wee bit from the article on the website here just for you, but him and Patrick Stewart, they need to be winning with every fibre of their being, and I would like to say, and I think I did say this earlier, the first thing should be calling out the cheating from yesterday and giving themselves a good opportunity to lay down a marker about this is how things are going to be going forward. So the article said, Rangers Football Club are delighted to announce the appointment of Fraser Thornton as chair. He will join the club on 16th of December 2024. Fraser has held many senior leadership and board positions throughout his career in both private and public companies. Having worked in the international drinks industry for the last 30 years, he offers a vast range of experience in stakeholder engagement, spanning political, commercial and public interest groups. He has extensive management experience across sales, brand marketing, strategy development and finance. Raised in Glasgow, Fraser graduated from the University of Stirling before qualifying as a chartered accountant with Pricewaterhouse in Glasgow in 1993. Between 1986 and 2021, Fraser held multiple executive leadership positions in international businesses, working across several regions of the world. He was a council member of the Scottish Whisky Association for 15 years until 2021. Since 2021, Fraser has held several non-executive positions and he is currently interim chair of Scottish Golf. So, obviously not any football in there. Mentioned born in Glasgow, I take that to be he was born on the right side of Glasgow. He is indeed a Rangers fan, but he has some experience of Scottish golf as well, so sports and the sports industry and understanding of what it takes to put events on, to build successful teams, to be able to provide the platform and opportunity for people to do their best, you know, essentially, which is what sport is all about. So yeah, welcome along, Mr. Thornton, and I hope that you do a great job, and please do let me know if there's anything I can do to help. In terms of comings and goings at the club, we also, actually I don't even think there was an announcement about this, but Karim Varane, the Chief Commercial Officer, left the club kinda under the radar last week, didn't he? And that's too bad, because he had record revenues there, and obviously there was some more information on the financials that made it look like less than a stellar year. But in terms of him doing his job, he did a great job. You know, the revenues were up to record levels, and that's due to him and his team. So thank you very much, Karim, for everything that you did for the club while you were there. I had the opportunity to spend a bit of time with Karim over what would that be now, the last couple of months, and a very engaging guy, very passionate about the club, and you know, loving life and what he was doing and trying to do. And we had plans to continue to build things together in terms of what we could influence and help on stateside. So it's a wee bit of a blow. I did pass on my thanks and congratulations to him and best wishes for the future, and we'll see what that looks like. I wonder if the chairman and the new CEO are going to get together and figure out someone else for that particular role pretty quick, or we're just just back in recruiting land again. I'm not 100% sure about that, but yeah, one more change and then hopefully we get a period of settlement as we move forward. And with all of that, I think that the most fitting thing to do is to thank John Gilligan for stepping in and stepping up to the interim chairman role when he did, and I sent a congratulations and a thank you over to him on the weekend. To take a job that literally no one else wanted at a time when things were just an absolute mess, and then to provide it looks like a very appropriate chairman and a very appropriate CEO in less than 3 months. That's kind of incredible, folks, and that's what I said to him. So thanks very much to Mr. Gilligan for everything that he did in his role. I'm sure it wasn't easy, but this is what happens when you get focused on task. What are the main things that have to happen? We need to get these key critical positions in play, and then the rest of it will cascade from there. He's did just that. Him and his team, of course, have done just that, and thank you very, very much to Mr. Gilligan and whomever else was supporting him in this crucial period of our wonderful club. Just another reminder about Orange County Soccer Club running the fan ownership in the UK. They've got. I'll put the link in there. They've got an opportunity for folks in the UK if they're interested in having some sort of fan ownership stateside. They can do that. I'll leave the link in there. I'm not 100% sure how long this is running, so maybe just keep an eye on that. But if it's something you're thinking about, maybe as a gift for someone for Christmas or so, you might want to get on that kind of quick in case they close it down. I'd be kind of surprised if they closed it down prior to Christmas, but sometimes my mindset isn't the same as anyone else's mindset, so who knows. On to the women's team here. Oof, they had quite the week. I saw that midweek they had squeezed out a tight 1-0 victory away at Motherwell, which put them back to the top of the league, which is great news, because then we go and play Glasgow City on the weekend and they got spanked 3-0, a hat-trick by, I can't remember the lassie's name now, but a hat-trick kind of basically just before and just after half-time there. My understanding is that they just didn't show up. They just didn't have a good game at all, and to go down 3-0 against your arch rivals and them leapfrog back again, within a game is kind of disheartening. It's too bad. I haven't seen any of the highlights and I didn't get an opportunity yesterday to look at any of the post-match interviews from Jo Potter or her team, but any 3-0 victory against your biggest rivals isn't good. And if you look at the league table now, it's very, very tight there. That mob from the East End have got 2 games in hand. If they win their 2 games in hand, I think they're right up in the mix. Hearts are not going away anywhere. And Motherwell are up there kind of fighting too, so it's a lot more close. It seems to be that clubs are investing a lot more in the women's game, which is absolutely fantastic to see. I mean, who doesn't want to see proper, genuine, bona fide competition at any level, especially in the women's game, as they're trying to really build their brand and the excitement in the brand. So not a great week overall, certainly not a good weekend for the women's team, but still lots of time to go and hopefully opportunities to right those wrongs as we go forward. Second last shout out for today is just a big thanks to Mike Kelly, who flew in for the cup final from Winnipeg, and Mike's a great guy. He flew in. We were hoping to try and maybe get the opportunity to get together on Saturday and have a couple of pints under non-duress, as in cup final circumstances, but I was in class all day. I didn't finish till late, and then I owed my beautiful baby boy Leo some of my time in the evening, but he came down. And you know what? I don't want to, I'm not going to start to say jinx. I'm not going to start to put any innuendo out there. But what I'll tell you is just some facts. Mike has flown in twice for 2 Old Firm Cup finals, and we've lost both Old Firm Cup finals. That's just facts. So maybe next time when we get to the cup final and Mike says, I'm going to fly in, I'm going to have to listen. You know what? Actually, maybe I think Calgary's shut that week, Mike. Maybe you just stay where you are and we'll see if you're the jinx or not. I did have a new Rangers shirt on yesterday. Through my new endeavour in entrepreneurship, money's a wee bit tighter than it has been in the past, so I haven't purchased any Rangers gear this year because I can't afford it. And my 2 pals, Davey and Jamie, got me the new Rangers home kit. It's not new anymore, I know, with Gaz 50 on the back to celebrate my birthday. I wore it yesterday and we got beat. So I'm going to try it again on Saturday, for the Dundee game, and if we get a good result there, then it's not the shirt, it's definitely Mike. And if we don't win on Saturday, then it's the shirt and it's Mike. So both have to go in the bin or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but it's great to see Mike again. I didn't even get a chance to properly chat to him as well, which is too bad after making the big effort to come over. from Winnipeg, but I hope he had a safe journey home. And the last shout out, of course, is the Narco Curry Weekend, which is in London, Ontario, and that is from Thursday the 13th to Sunday the 16th of February. I'll leave the email address, which is narco2025@outlook.com, and I'll leave that in there for the show notes as well. Actually, do you know what? One last shout out. We did have former NARSA executive member Nicola Fatkin come over to surprise us yesterday in Calgary. She was out visiting her pal Scott Greaves, who also made an appearance. It was great to see Scott there as well, and it was great to see Nicola there. That was a surprise. Billy Fatkin had put a teaser on the NARSA chat on Saturday saying, oh, there's going to be a surprise guest tomorrow, and I assumed that he was talking about Scott because him and Scott are best of pals. And then Nicola walked in, so it was great to see her. So I hope you have a great time when you are here, Nicola. On to the convention. We have 177 days and 25 weeks until that's less than 6 months now, oh man, word, until we descend upon Kissimmee and Osceola County. Obviously not having the League Cup as a potential incentive to have people come along is a bit of a blow to our convention planning, and that's something we're just going to have to live with. That's the reality that we're doing. But it's June 12th to the 15th. Tickets are on sale. Hotel rooms are there for on sale. I'm going to have a conversation with the golf guy today and see what we can do about the golf as we move forward. I don't have any further convention stories from anyone after Lorraine's two beauties that she provided over the last couple of weeks there. But all the details are on the NARSA website. We really need to start selling some tickets for this event to give us the opportunity to understand how many people are coming along, and hopefully we'll see a wee bit of a rush prior to Christmas where people are looking forward to something. I don't know that the season's going to work out exactly as we are hoping, folks, so if you're like me and you're looking for something Rangers to look forward to, it might just have to be the NARSA convention in Kissimmee, Florida in 2025. So think about that. We're doing everything we can to support the team. The team aren't able to provide what we're hoping for. The NARSA convention will. I promise you of that. We do have a Rangers meeting this week to talk to the folks, and I know that Colin down in Orlando is very, very busy in organising the pre and post events and getting excursions and such organised too. He's been very, very proactive, and we have a conversation with him tomorrow morning too, so looking forward to that. In terms of the communication section, I guess when we lose a cup final we don't get a Gers guide, because I waited as long as I possibly could before recording and there was nothing there. I imagine there'll be away days that would talk about the cup final. There'll be some of the women's stuff. There'll be the loan review probably tomorrow. There'll be the press conference on Friday for the Dundee game. I'm not 100% sure who the women's team are playing this week, but I believe they go into, I think there's one more game this week for the women's team, and then they go into a winter break, so that might be a wee bit of quiet on the women's side for that. But other than that, I think it will be a bit of a quiet-ish week as the new hierarchy get their feet under the table and find out exactly what they're doing going forward. Just a reminder of the Burns Supper celebration. That's on the 24th of January. You can get details on that on the Rangers website. And also the Rangers International Coaching Convention as well, which is the 3rd to the 6th of April. I'll leave the link for that on the show notes as well. Okay, that will do it for this week, my friends. As always, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you very, very, very much for taking the time. This is probably not what you wanted to be listening to after the hangover of another cup final defeat to that mob, another narrow cup final defeat to that mob, as just is just not even, well, it's just about 24 hours old as I record this right now, but that's just the way it is. We're making progress, folks, and I am really looking forward to seeing what the next couple of months brings us in terms of our overall form and results and what that means for the club overall. One more game before Christmas and we just need to concentrate on the league for the next month or so. So until next week, please do take care of yourself and all the very best. Follow.